Who were you guys before October 7th, 1998?
I guess we just regular folks,
After October 7th?
not regular folks.
A young gay man is in a deep coma, near death, from a savage beating. It's a crime that goes beyond despicable.
Judy and Dennis Shepard had a son named Matthew.
A kid who was obnoxious, argumentative, pain in my butt all the time because he liked to argue.
He definitely had opinions about what life should be like.
And life for Matthew ended too soon.
At 12:53 a.m. this morning, Matthew Shepard died.
Their son's death sparked nationwide discussion on hate crimes and homophobia. And Judy and Dennis built the Matthew Shepard Foundation to try to put an end to the hate that killed their son.
We don't want another family to feel what we feel.
Do you ever heal?
You don't.
We get real about the foundation's challenges in achieving their mission. What is your biggest challenge right now in fighting hate?
The new administration.
Yeah.
Let's chat about that juxtaposition. So it was in 2009 when you guys were with Obama.
Now, at root, this isn't just about our laws, this is about who we are as a people.
How does it feel to knowingly take, 2 steps forward, 1 really large step back?
Every day it's a battle between abject terror and extreme anger.
The Shepards are turning that anger into action, hosting a summit in Chicago for law enforcement. What have you seen in the process of reporting hate crimes now that you guys are fully immersed in it that strikes you as that you cannot believe it's a reality in America?
Reporting is not mandatory, it's voluntary. So when Honolulu or Houston tells us they have no hate crimes, it's like, well, I think that's suspect.
So pull up a chair and join us at the table. We're all family at this point.
We consider you to be our sons and daughters. We want to take care of our kids.
This is 30 Minutes with Judy and Dennis Shepard. Judy and Dennis, welcome to 30 Minutes with.
Thank you, Cody.
It is a pleasure to have you here today. You guys are 2 very well-known parents.
Well, she's well known.
Smart man, yeah. Describe what it's like to have 2 very different children.
That's actually a funny question because they couldn't be more different.
Right.
Matt was small in stature, not athletic,
Outgoing.
extremely social. Logan is the exact opposite of that. Exact opposite.
Big and quiet.
Yes. Yes.
Introvert.
It was
like his mother.
Yeah. Logan is like me in personality, and Matt was like Dennis.
When did you realize that despite having the same upbringing, same parents, same amount of love, that it still resulted in 2 different children? I guess, what does that teach you about like a parent's love?
You know they're going to be different as toddlers because they're just always different, right? The way they play, the way they talk, learn, everything about them was different. It's kind of a winging it. You figure it out as you go.
When did you start wondering or maybe noticing that Matt was gay?
Well, Dennis's job took him on the road a lot, so it was mostly me with the boys during the week. I can't define it. It was just in the back of my head. I think about 8, I began to just question.
He had hair and curlers when he was in 5
Well,
or
yeah,
6 years.
he liked to dress up, and he liked to dress up.
Yeah, his hair is like dandelion. It would wave in the wind. It was so fine. So he.
Angel hair.
Yeah.
I had really long hair, and so I had the orange juice can curlers. This is a long time ago.
Yeah. You had to defend your fashion choices in the 90s. I get it.
Yeah, so this was in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
And so he liked to put those in his hair because he had kind of longish hair when until he was about 5. His favorite Halloween costume for 3 years in a row was Dolly Parton. He got really good at it.
Did you use the rollers in that
Oh no,
section
big
too?
balloons. And, for some reason we had a gray wig, and he was like.
He's a working girl, 9 to
yeah,
5.
he loved it. There was just something about him that was not. It was really special and unique, and I began to question. I'm not sure it ever crossed Dennis's mind, but I was absolutely expecting him to come out to me
Do you think
someplace in his life.
Do you think a mother always knows?
I do, and if she doesn't, it's because she doesn't want to.
Who were you guys before October 7th, 1998?
Dennis was a safety engineer, and we were just parents. By education, we're both teachers. I guess we just regular folks,
After October 7th.
not regular folks. minus a son, broken heart, new world,
Dysfunctional marriage.
angry world.
From time to time, a single crime grabs the attention of the whole country. The latest example, the beating of a gay college student in Wyoming.
Let me also take a moment here to offer my prayers and my condolences to the family of Matthew Shepard.
Matthew's mother said to me, please tell everybody who's listening to go home and give your kids a hug. And don't let a day go by without telling them that you love them.
Do you ever heal?
You don't. It gets different. You build your life around the hurt, but you don't heal. There's no closure. There's scar tissue, and there's open wounds, and there's
There's always the what if.
yeah, there's always that.
What if he'd have lived? What would have happened to his world? What would have happened to him? Because of the changes that have been made because of his death. You just wonder all the way through.
Yeah, it just gets different.
What does his life represent to you?
Before, it was just a kid who was obnoxious, argumentative, pain in my butt all the time because he liked to argue.
And spend money.
What about after his death? What does his life represent?
Well, to me, it's the things that he did do while he was growing up before that happened, and the changes that have been made to help the rest of not just the LGBTQ community, but just this discrimination in general and bullying, those issues.
What was it about Matt, do you think, that resonated with the world?
I've often asked, why did Matt's story stick when so many other equally horrific or more horrific stories did not? And there was the confluence events, I think, that were happening around that period of time in the U.S. For one thing, the internet was brand new and people were anxious to use it, so it just took off in ways that had not been experienced before. But he had that all-American blonde hair, blue-eyed, innocent look. He was not murdered in a place of protest. He was just trying to live his life. He was just so young, and I
And his
had an answer
background
to
coming
that.
from a family of, with a brother and a working dad, a stay-at-home mom, and the fact that he was 5'2", weighed 105 pounds when he died.
Level of violence.
Yeah.
Iconic location.
His love of politics, his love of theater, his love of people.
Could have been anyone's son.
That's
Yeah,
it.
anyone's son.
Or daughter.
Neighbor.
Yeah.
And it
neighbor,
didn't matter
friend,
if you were
Right.
what color your skin was or what religion or anything else. Everybody could imagine him as their son or daughter or niece or nephew or next door neighbor.
Everybody knew him, man.
How has your life's purpose changed?
Well, before we were just there to work, save money, retire,
Hope our
Okay.
kids are happy.
yeah, come back and just die of old age, fall over dead while you're fishing or something.
That could still be in the picture. Nothing about that to say. It's just, we just now spend a lot more time. You never anticipate you're going to have to talk about your life, all the time, and a great loss. And we are absolutely far more political than we used to be, far more involved in the process than we used to be.
Or putting your life out there for others to see.
Yeah.
Do you feel closer to Matt working through, in his name? Is that a weird question?
No, I think we both feel like we're doing what Matt would be doing if we were still here.
Be an
So I guess in that
activist.
sense,
He'd
we
be an
do.
activist in some one way
Yeah.
or another. We just don't know which direction he would have gone because he hadn't really finished school and found his way.
He definitely had opinions about what life should be like. And one of the things that bothered him the most were people who picked on other people. Bullies
Oh, yeah.
were a big problem for Matt.
He just
He,
didn't
him-
like,
he himself was never a victim, but he hated seeing other people being victimized.
Okay.
whether it was because of race or sexual orientation, it didn't matter. Equal respect, equal rights, equal opportunities to succeed.
And the work you're doing through the Matthew Shepard Foundation is combating that hate head on. And when we get back from the break, we will dive into everything the Matthew Shepard Foundation is doing. We'll be right back. Welcome back to 30 Minutes with everyone. We are with Judy and Dennis Shepard of the Matthew Shepard Foundation. And your guys' whole mission in the foundation is to erase hate. That is a bold and daunting task, it seems like. So what do you guys do to even start chipping away at that?
Well, that's a start.
Nice.
When we started the foundation, it was
Tiffany's for me, yeah.
yeah, raising awareness, trying to get anti-bullying training in schools, which is actually kind of an impossible task. And then after federal hate crime law passed in 2009, that became the purpose, was to educate what the bill does and doesn't do, raise awareness about the bill, that it does exist, trying to convince victims to actually report crimes.
What is your biggest challenge right now in fighting hate?
The new administration.
Yeah.
Because every member of that cabinet, including the president, vice president, especially the vice president, they're very anti-gay, anti-immigrant, minority, anti-everything. If you're rich or white, Republican,
Christian,
you,
good to go.
yeah, this is a good country right now. But if you're anything else, if you're any kind of other different person, it's tough.
Let's chat about that juxtaposition. So it was in 2009 when you guys were with Obama?
October 29.
Now, at root, this isn't just about our laws, this is about who we are as a people. This is about whether we value one another, whether we embrace our differences rather than allowing them to become a source of animus. It's hard for any of us to imagine the mindset of someone who would kidnap a young man and beat him to within an inch of his life, tie him to a fence and leave him for dead.
How does it feel to knowingly take, 2 steps forward, 1 really large step back?
Every day it's a battle between abject terror and extreme anger. I'm madder now than I was then. Because first off, this all should be taken care of. We shouldn't still be fighting these same battles. Mm-hmm. But to see it systematically erased in just 2 years is horrifying. That Congress is letting this happen, which in the midterms I'm hoping we will have a big change there, and perhaps we can get on the road to getting these things finalized.
Mm-hmm. So what is the foundation doing now that they did not plan on doing before November 8, 2016?
I didn't think that continuing the hate crime summits was going to be as important of a thing as it is now. The haters are now out there in full force, full-throated, shouting their hate and attacking people because now the president basically says it's okay, and in fact encouraging it. In the Obama administration, socially it wasn't acceptable to do that, and now it's encouraged. So where do we go now?
I think it is safe to say there's a faction of our population that really lacks empathy to people who might not be straight, white, Christian, rich males. What is the foundation doing to teach that? Because it's very hard to teach, and I know you guys dig into like these gut-wrenching, your darkest days, these terrible stories, and I'm assuming in an effort to break through to people, but how have you found is the best way to generate empathy?
You can't. You can't. You know the old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Mm-hmm. It takes a personal event for most people to actually think about the change. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they're going to hold on to that ignorance and that fear and that hate, and not everyone is going to have one of those personal events, or even react to them in a positive way. But you can't teach people to be empathetic. You either have it or you make a conscious effort to learn it. But you're not going to get people into a room and say, "This is how you be empathetic." You just can't do that. They are who they are. You can teach them kind. You can show them the difference between kind and rude and manners and
don't you think that's innate though? Like you know the right thing.
No, I don't think you do. You're taught those things.
Okay.
You can be taught. Hate is generational. You're not born knowing how to do that, and you're also not born knowing how to love. Mm-hmm. You learn how to do both. Your family, your environment, your surroundings teach you all of those things. I think being empathetic is innate. I think being kind is not.
How could someone like Matthew have benefited from an organization that you guys have built?
In the beginning, it was about letting people know they're not alone. Because in the late 90s, there was a great fear that you were alone because people weren't out. They were afraid.
And when we share their stories, we have two different web pages. We have the MatthewShepard.org, which is about the foundation. But the other is MatthewsPlace.com, which is about young people, for young people, and bloggers are young people. So young people go on there and find out they aren't alone, get information to help themselves or help their friends, or for parents to get on there because they want to help their kids.
What do you think Matthew would say, knowing that in his name you guys have built one of the most well-known LGBT organizations that is helping people and bringing people together and allowing people to feel not so singled out?
I think he would be proud of us.
You'd be
for doing
laughing
it.
because his mother's out there speaking and she doesn't, she's the quiet one. She's the 15 on the 10 scale introvert.
He would be surprised that this would be me now. But I think he would be proud of us, and I think he would be proud of his friends, of all his friends and his peers for sticking to themselves,
Being out there and
being out who they are.
trying to make change.
Yeah.
And remembering that if you don't have change, you can't make a difference.
And we will talk about some of that change you guys are making when we get back from the break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to 30 Minutes with everyone. We are with Judy and Dennis Shepard of the Matthew Shepard Foundation. Thanks for being here. Let's dive into hate crimes. What have you seen in the process of reporting hate crimes now that you guys are fully immersed in it that strikes you as that you cannot believe it's a reality in America?
That
Hate
they
crimes
aren't reporting.
They aren't reporting, but also hate crimes affect everybody. Whether you're the victim or you care for the victim, hate crimes victimize everybody.
It's a ripple effect.
Yeah, you feel the fear, the angst, the anger, the frustration of prosecution or lack of. They affect everybody.
So with like the Matthew Shepard Act, what do you wish was included in that?
Well, reporting is not mandatory, it's voluntary. So when Honolulu or Houston tells us they have no hate crimes, it's like, well, I think that's suspect. Of course you do. Either you're not encouraging your police force to report them, the victims are afraid to report them, or they don't know how to report them, so they just don't.
So we saw you guys both talking to law enforcement today. What's the purpose of that?
Well, my goal is to have them be more empathetic to the victim. Sometimes it's challenging. They don't understand why the victim is so reluctant or afraid to talk to them or afraid to report it because they don't understand the concept of the victim fearing re-victimization by a police officer or the system in general or retaliation from the person who beat them or harmed them in some way. So it's there's a whole bunch of components to that. But equally important is reminding the victim they have a role to play in this too. And one is actually reporting it, sticking with it, and understanding that it takes time.
What's your message to those victims?
Don't give up.
Keep pushing to get prosecution.
Have you guys ever thought about giving up?
No. We have too much work to do. We're going to be doing this as long as we're asked, and it's not giving up.
What does that responsibility feel like?
I don't think it's a responsibility. I think it's just parents. You look out in the audience and everybody out there, including you. We consider you to be our sons and daughters. We want to take care of our kids. And it's a parent's duty to be out there and take care of the kids.
I really wish that the concept of intersectionality would actually come together, because none of us are just one thing. I am not just a woman. I'm not just a wife or a mother. I'm many, many things. And
You're every woman, Judy.
yeah. So the idea when Dennis mentioned the Women's March, the first one after the inauguration, it was everybody in that march. It was environmentalists, it was dreamers, it was the gay community, it was women, but it was women fighting for jobs, not just reproductive rights. It was, and it wasn't just the United States. It was the world. It was the world. And if we could just figure out a way to work together, because we're all really trying to achieve the same things, and that is acceptance of each other as fellow human beings.
What do all people have in common?
The desire to succeed, to feel safe and secure in their homes and in their profession, raise a family if that's what they want, the freedom to be who they are without judgment, safe, happy, equality, equity, treatment.
Do you think that's
acceptance.
Is that achievable?
Yes, I think it's achievable in a majority way, but not in a 100% way.
So as people who are trying to erase hate, and knowing that it would be naive to think it's going to go away completely, when do you know you've succeeded? How do you measure your success?
There's no matrix to measure that. All you can do is hope that the people that you touch will go out and they will tell their stories and touch more people, just heavily relying on the ripple effect of common decency. We're not asking anybody to make the marginalized communities your best friend, but respect who they are. Give them their space, let them be them, learn from them.
We don't expect love and hugs every time you see somebody, but like Judy said, right now I would take tolerance. My goal is acceptance. But you have to take the step into tolerance before we can work towards getting acceptance. And right now, with this administration, we've lost even the ability to tolerate somebody who's different, let alone accept.
So we're not socially demanding tolerance or acceptance anymore. We're just letting people berate other people for who they are. That's nuts. When did we become those people?
You mentioned earlier that you never heal. By remaining bothered by this, what good is coming from it?
We don't want another family to feel what we feel, to have that sense of loss and frustration and anger. It doesn't matter if they're straight or gay, just when you lose a child or a friend, it's devastating. And the idea is just to do what we can so that others don't feel and have to go through what we've gone through.
We know it hasn't stopped. Obviously, it hasn't stopped. Recently, really terrible things have happened. The murder of trans women of color is just off the charts. It's horrifying. But if we can talk about it, if we can encourage other people to do it, if we can tell the story from a parent's point of view, we reach a different audience than someone from the community telling the same story. As allies, all allies have a tremendous amount of power in their words that the community does not. They reach a different audience. They have a different story to tell.
All things considered, you guys still seem fairly optimistic.
We have young people like you who are making change. You're realizing that you have the power to make change. You don't have to listen to these old people like me.
Yeah, listen to my gay talk show.
Get out there and change these old people out and get new people in there who understand and want to help themselves and their friends and their family.
How do you stay resilient? What pushes you?
To me, it's the young people like yourself and everybody else we see. They're eager to make change, and they have a different outlook on life that, hey, they don't know what it's like to be back there in the old days, the good old days, when you didn't have some of these privileges and rights that you have. And I don't want them to lose them. It's tough.
Thank you guys very much for joining us on the show.
Thanks, Cody.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.